and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a well being leader, discover a conscious way of living, co founder at Conscious Action, and Young Being You. No other than and you being you, sorry, no other than Mr. Brian Berneman.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel.
Welcome, Mr. Brian, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself? That I miss.
Yeah, sure. No? I'm Brian, originally from Argentina, and for the last 20 plus years, I have been on a journey to connect deeper with myself and to live a more conscious life. And I was fortunate to be introduced when I was a teenager to some of these different practices and different ways of living, so that really supported me on my journey, and that took me to a lot of different methodologies, a lot of different traditions, a lot of different practices. It took me around the world to different countries as well. And then at one moment after I did my studies, that I studied communication and journalism, and I worked as a journalist for a few years. I did my postgraduate studies in neuroscience, and then I went into trying to practice a little bit more all of the things that I was doing on a daily basis. So I decided to move to California to a Tibetan Buddhist retreat center in the middle of the mountain to fully immerse myself into practices and teachings that I really resonated with. And after a few years there, I moved to New Zealand, which is where now I'm currently living. And I have been here for the last 10 years, just working and sharing with people as much as possible about how to live a more connected and a more conscious life. So, yeah, it's been beautiful supporting individuals, organizations, students at university in a lot of different ways, just sharing a lot of the understandings and the learnings that I have had through the years, that are things that mostly we are not taught at school and we are not all of us knowledgeable about. So my my goal is to be able to share with people more so that they can connect with themselves and in that way live a more conscious life.
Living more conscious life. And Mr. Brian Berneman. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about conscious living. So, tell us, how do you define conscious living and how it's fundamentally different from simply going through the motions of a busy, automated life?
Yeah, as you're saying, a lot of times, majority of the people we are living in autopilot. We are not even realizing what we're doing. We are just going through the motions. We are, potentially going to school or then to work and just doing things without really taking time to be aware of what's happening, to be present, to be able to have enough awareness to notice what's going on both inside and outside of ourselves. And that is one of the things that, for me, conscious living, it can take a lot of different shapes and forms depending on what a person is wanting to experience or their focus. At the root of it is about becoming more and more present and developing greater and greater awareness of what's happening. I know that, when we are living in autopilot, we are not that aware of our inner experience. So we are not aware too much about the feelings and sensations in the body, how we are relating to the environment that we're in, how we are relating to other people. As most of the time we're just in our heads thinking about the past or the future or just other, like potential scenarios that are happening. So we aren't really there. And when we're able to develop more of the capacity to reconnect with ourselves, then it makes our life quite different. Because, as I usually say to my university students, we want to move from reacting to life to responding to life. And we can only do that if we are aware, if we are present. Because when we are an autopilot, we are just reacting based on all of the things that we have learned and we have been conditioned and programmed from our life. And then when we're able to be more present, we're able to actually understand, potentially if someone is saying something to me, like instead of trying to defend or get into an argument, potentially it makes more sense to diffuse the situation and to create space, or to bring compassion and understanding into the conversation. So there's a lot of things that the more that we become aware, the more that we start to understand, okay, like how am I connected to, as well, the space I have here, my garden that is just next to me. And it's like, how am I relating to the nature around me? How am I relating to the people around me? And how am I relating as well in an everyday basis with that, given that we're always in interaction? Like if I'm eating some food, for example, that means that I bought that food potentially, or I grew that food. But like yesterday, I went to the farmers market to get my food. I connect with the farmers. I know where that food is coming from. I know who grew it. So just those connections make a difference, because a lot of times we don't even know where our food comes from. So it's those little things that make a big difference. And as well, the more present, the more aware that we are, the more that we are understanding how our nervous system works and how to, not be in a stressful, anxious, uh, you know experience all of the time, which is majority of the people experience. So that's a little bit about conscious living.
The wake up call, Mr. Brian. What does the moment of waking up to a more conscious life typically feel like? Is it a gradual dawning or sudden or jarring realization?
Well, it depends on the person. Like there's some people that it is a gradual thing, like it was for me. It was more of being introduced to slightly different things, and little by little understanding, like, oh, like every time that I'm feeling super angry, instead of doing whatever I was doing before and reacting in the way that I was doing that wasn't healthy, now I know what to do, how to be with those feelings, how to process that. And little by little understanding more and more. So therefore it took me years to get to the place that some people, it's like that in a moment. It's like a wake up call. It's kind of like they are shaken completely, and so their entire life changes from that moment on. So it's, depending on the people. I see a lot of clients that, so they come to see me because they had an awakening and they don't know what to do, because it's been so sudden that they have no understanding on how to be with it and how to be with themselves. So it really depends on our unique experience how that takes place.
What are the primary forces in our modern world that actively keep us unconscious, lulling us into autopilot?
Well, the first one is that we are not really taught how to be present. We are taught to survive, both from a evolutionary point of view, as well from a systemic view. There's, our systems are made at the moment so that, we grow up, we go to school, kind of like factory settings, and we go to that school, and then we go to work, and then we buy our house, and we have a family, and then we die. So for a lot of people, that is the way that our system works. And because of the fact that our system is so created to survive, we develop so many mechanisms to actually do that. So we need to continue doing that a lot of the times to be able to just remain in that space where we're able to actually be more aware and be more present, because our tendencies are going to be to just survive and to be on autopilot, to shut down our experience just so that we can survive. So the more that we're able to understand that, okay, the system is not created at the moment to be okay, then, or to be present, to be more conscious, then we need to do something about that. And at the moment, it's, like individually or as a small communities, the ones that we are trying to create that change.
Why is it conscious living often described not a luxury, but as an urgent necessity for our mental health, relationships, and the planet?
Well, because of the way that we've been living, it hasn't been supporting on our individual needs, our mental health, our entire body well-being. We haven't been taking care of it really well. That's why we see so many diseases and so many challenges that we have. Then from a connection standpoint as well, if we are not aware, it is more challenging to create kind, compassionate, loving relationships. And at the same time, as we are not connecting to our environment, then we are creating the challenges that we have in our world at the moment, because we haven't understood how interconnected we are to, like to nature, to the trees that are, amazing to get out of the carbon of the out of the air, and they store that. And how important, for example, the bees are to pollinate, or any other pollinators. And the more that we understand and we become more conscious of those interrelationships that we have, then we would start to take care of our environment, to take care of people, to take care of our needs. And the more that we become more conscious, the more that we are likely to do that. And in a sense, it is urgent, because the longer that we don't do that, the more that the systems keep on going in the way that they are going now, which is not good for our health.
Mr. Brian, tell us, what is a simple 60-second practice anyone can do right now to anchor themselves in the present moment and step out of their racing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, and this is going to be slightly different for everyone. And at the same time, some of the most basic things that we can all do is just to put a hand on our belly, put a hand on our chest, and breathe. And just notice how the breath is flowing, bringing the awareness down, noticing, the belly, the chest expanding, condensing, noticing the feet on the ground, or whatever it is that your feet are, so that we develop more awareness of the physical body, even if we are not feeling much, developing that. So as we calm the body, as we bring slower, deeper breath into our bodies, then we're able to allow the nervous system to calm down, to get out of the stress response and to go into the parasympathetic nervous system. And in that way, we can reset or restore, so or relax. So that is something simple that we can all do at any single moment. We just need to remember to do that.
Interesting, Mr. Brian. And how does conscious living transform our relationship with consumption, from food and shopping to media and information?
Yeah, the more aware that we are how things are impacting, then we make different choices. As I said, like I can, you know, when I was growing up, for me, food came from a supermarket. That's all that I knew. I didn't know where food came from, how it grew, what actually took part on that process. And later on, when I started to learn more, I started to make very different choices. So I grow food here at home in my veggie garden. I go and buy food from the farmers market here. I buy like mostly organic food whenever possible, and that just started to change my relationship with the food systems. Then as well, for example, with the news, I used to watch the news all of the time. I used to read the newspaper every single day, and I realized how that was impacting me because of so much of our news, unfortunately, at the moment is so negative that we get into a stress response all of the time because we are just seeing all of the negative things that are happening. So that's having a huge impact on our health. So I decided to mostly not watch any news, stop reading the newspaper, because that wasn't supporting my well being. And that doesn't mean that I don't know what's going on in the world. I just don't consume it all of the time because that wasn't healthy for me. So the more conscious that we become about these things, the more that then we change our behaviors so that they start to align with whatever it is that we believe that is going to be more supportive of our well-being and our collective well-being.
Mr. Brian, as a well being leader, discover a conscious way of living, co founder, what are your short term and long term goals?
What are my golden goals?
Short term and long term goals.
Well, one is to stay alive, to keep on being able to enjoy life because I don't take it for granted every single day. I appreciate the fact that I'm alive because any single day could be the last. Um, to be able to share with the people around me that I appreciate them, that I love them, that they are important, and then to continue sharing this that has been so beneficial for me, to continue sharing this with my students, with my clients, with more people online like this, having people like you with platforms that are helping to share different perspectives, different knowledge that someone might resonate with what I'm sharing. And if just one person gets something out of me sharing, then that is a beautiful thing. So my my goal is to be able to connect people with themselves. And the more that I reach people, the more that I'm able to do that. So that is why now I'm doing more and more work online to reach more people, creating a platform to be able to share that so that I can do that not only here in New Zealand but everywhere else.
All over the world. Good luck to your goals, Mr. Brian, and looking forward for more success. And
Thank
what
you.
will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be well-being leader too?
Well, to start with themselves, to connect more with their own experience, because we're all unique, we're all different. Yes, there's a lot of commonalities that we have. The more that we explore ourselves, the more that we reconnect, heal those things that, potential traumas that we've experienced or things that we weren't able to process, the more that we connect with how our experience is, the easier it is to then get more understanding of how it might be for other people. And in that way, the more that I am able to connect with myself, the more that I'm able to connect with how other people feel, because we have that capacity. We have the capacity to be empathic and to feel what someone else is feeling. So in that way, it makes things much easier. And exploring whatever it is that resonates, because there's so many different traditions, there's so many different methodologies, there's so many different perspectives, that if we're following what we feel like is the right thing, then that's going to be the way.
Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. Brian. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah, I actually have two books here that have done that. One is called Gesture of Balance, and the other one is called Kumye Tibetan Yoga Both are by Tartan Tulku. They have been really influential in when I was a teenager because they introduced me to meditation, to mindfulness practices, to reconnect with my body in a way that was accessible for me and my understanding. So even though they come from a Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhist perspective, they have been really open books. So this one, Gesture of Balance, it says it's a guide to awareness, self healing, and meditation. So this has been a huge part of my journey, and Tartan Turku has been like a huge part of my journey to be to connect more with myself, with my health, with my well-being, with my body, with the energy. And then I was fortunate enough, as I said at the beginning, to go to California and to live in the retreat center for a few years, learning, directly, not only from the books. So these books have been, um, I think that hidden gems that not many people know about, that I feel like are really beneficial to people that perhaps are not yet introduced to these practices or these ways that might seem foreign, might seem different, might seem that they are not what they can do. And yeah, I would highly recommend these books.
Thank you, Mr. Brian, for that recommended books. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my Food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season. And my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season. And my movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season. And Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Let's listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Brian, for someone listening or watching right now who feels the steering to live more consciously but does not know where to begin, what is the single most powerful first step would you recommend they take it today?
The most important thing is to know that you have the capacity to actually do the things that you want to do, that you can change anytime that you decide to do. It might not be as simple or as easy as that. It is simple, not that easy a lot of times. The biggest thing that I could say is start becoming more aware of your breath. That's super simple. We can all do that, just becoming more aware of how you're breathing. And then if you're wanting to get, like more support or going to, more explorations, find someone that you resonate with that does work like I do. Reach out, work with them, whether that's online or in person, because there's a lot of amazing people sharing a lot of things in the world, but we can all do certain things just by ourselves. So just focus on your breathing, and that is a huge step on the right direction.
Mr. Brian Berneman, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that, Daniel. Yeah, people, if they go to my website, brianberneman.com, or find me on social media, Brian Berneman, they can see all of the work that I'm doing. I'm soon going to be launching my online platform as well, so that they can, do all of the online courses and classes online. But if they go to my website, there's a lot of the work that I do, either one-on-one, supporting people, for healing, for growth, for personal development, to go into their unique journey to conscious living and to well-being. Yeah, just reach out. send a message, and I would be more than happy to support.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Brian Berneman, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering healing to come. So, Mr. Brian, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing the space and for this lovely conversation.
More to come, people. See you soon.